respected dignitaries, a duty of good to all of you. It's my pleasure to introduce Professor K.K. Aggarwal garu. Professor K.K. Aggarwal, President of South Asian University, New Delhi, which is a university established by SAARC nations. Professor K.K. Aggarwal is an engineer by training and has been an accomplished academician and administrator. He received his PhD in Reliability Evaluation and Optimization from Kurukshetra University, Haryana, and master's degree from the same university. He obtained his bachelor's degree in Electronics and Communication Engineering from Punjab University, Chandigarh as a topper. Professor Aggarwal has served the National Board of Accreditation India as its former chairman. He was the founding Vice Chancellor of Guru Gobind Singh University, Delhi, and was also the Pro Vice Chancellor of Guru Jambheshwar University, Hisar, for 3 years. He was also the former Chairman of Board of Governors, MNIT, Jaipur. He has distinguished career of 27 years as an academician at the National Institute of Technology, Kurukshetra, where he was engaged in teaching and research activities in computer engineering and information technology. Professor Aggarwal has authored various books including Reliability Engineering and Software Engineering. He has published over 400 research papers in the domain of electronics and computer engineering in reputed academic journals. About half of them are international journals. He was associated with the Institution of Electronics and Telecommunication Engineers, IETE, and served as its president from 2002 to 2004. Professor Aggarwal was also the President of Computer Society of India from 2007 to 2009, the President of Southeast Asia Regional Computer Confederation from 2008 to 2010, and the Sectional President of the Indian Science Congress Association. He was also the Professor of the Academy of Scientific and Innovative Research, ASIR, of Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR. Professor Aggarwal has been invited to deliver lectures at several universities in India and abroad. To name a few, includes the University of Berkeley, USA, Florida State University, USA, UK Technical University of Birmingham, UK, Technical University of Germany. Apart from his contributions in the academic field, Professor Aggarwal has made a very strong impact in the industrial world. The industry has widely recognized him, most notable being for his contribution towards the reliability analysis for PSLV of the Indian Space Mission. He had also delivered lectures and conducted programs in several leading industrial organizations in India and abroad. Professor Aggarwal was honored by the Reliability Society of IEEE USA for his services as the guest editor for his special issue on State of Reliability Efforts of the Indian subcontinent. He was also declared as the Man of the Decade, Man of the Century, and Man of the Millennium by American Bibliographic Institute, USA. He was also awarded the Delhi Ratan by the All India Conference of Intellectuals, International Biographical Center, England, and published his biography in the first 500 at the New Millennium in July 2000. Apart from all this, Professor Aggarwal was conferred with many awards like Honorary Fellowship by different societies and Life Achievement Award in 2011 by IETE and Computer Society of India CSI in 2016. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to introduce Professor K.K. Aggarwal.
Thank you very much for introducing me to this Augusta House. It's a privilege to be presenting the ideas in front of many great friends. I especially like to mention Shri Pallab Rajaji, our former Education Minister, my good friend Professor Ved Prakash, former Chairman UCEK, Professor Prasad, Vice Chancellor of this university, and I understand Professor Sahasrabudhe is also online. It's a great opportunity for me to be with you. Friends, I will continue with what I mentioned last evening, that higher education and particularly higher technical education, to which we are more focused on, sitting in the premises of JNTUK, Kakinada, is going through a very, very drastic change, but very, very significant change. And unless we really learn to grapple with this change in the realistic terms, I think we might be losing something. Today we probably say we lost Industry 4.0, we lost semiconductor vision and all that. I'm very, very hopeful that we don't say that anything like this 5 years down the line, that we miss this, because at times you can't keep on missing, you have to catch up. I remember Alice in the Wonderland, one beautiful sentence. The book says, you will have to run very fast to stay where you are. Now that's the kind of speed at which we are moving. And if our education institutions do not move with the same spirit and same zeal of change, I'm sure we will be losing the race, and which the younger generation will not pardon us. With these few introductory remarks, I listened to a very elaborate lecture in the morning by my friend Professor Swarna. I think he has covered almost everything in the world, and therefore there is nothing new I can add to that list. All what I can do is I can take some few bullet points from that and elaborate that further to make it more meaningfully implementable and understandable to my young friends, some young students here, some young faculty here, because that is where the future of India lies. Friends, the first thing which I want all of my young friends to understand is that change is inevitable. As they say, change is the only constant in the world. But the most important part of the change at the present junction of history is that the rate of change is the fastest ever in the history of civilization. It has never been so fast a rate of change which has happened. Just to give some typical examples, when the first mobile phone was to be introduced, the best technology company in the world, AT&T, and the best management company in the world, KPMG, did a joint research. Is it worthwhile to spend money on mobile phone research, and will there be enough takers, and so on and so on. And after extensive research for several years, they came to the conclusion that if they are able to sell some 300,000 phones in the whole world, that will break even the research cost. And today, I think 300,000 we are selling in some of the smaller towns. That is the kind of rate of change. And look at the imagination. One cannot say AT&T was not a company who could see into the future. One cannot say KPMG is not a company, is a company who couldn't see into the future. The point is, future is not visible. And we have to appreciate this. And therefore, if we in the academia, do not crystal gaze into the future, then we are doing some heinous crime, if I use the word, because it is our duty to look into the future. I'm saying in lighter vein, many a time, even Pope had to revise the definition of seven sins. Now, that is the rate of change of society. What to talk of technology? Everything is changing. And therefore, saying that many a times we go to the institution and say, I ask, how are you doing? Sister, we are doing as good as we were doing. I see you're telling me a lie. Because it's not possible for an education institution to remain static, is impossible. Because education institution is a living being, and there is no living being in this universe which can be static. No plant, no insect, no animal, no bird can be static. Either you will grow or you will decay. That's a law of nature. Only non-living things can remain static. This table can remain static. So its choice is ours. whether we want to make our institution a non-living institution or a living institution. According to me, no institution can exist, at least exist nicely, unless they declare themselves to be living institution. And if it's a living institution, you have no option but to grow, except if you decide to die. And if you sort of, which I say, self-deception has become a hobby. We feel we are growing. And when we are growing at a rate lesser than the world is growing, then you're not growing. Then you're slowing down. And I think that's the first thing which I thought I will bring it to the notice of young teachers particularly, and through you to the young students with whom the future of this country lies. We are very, very hopeful that we will have, definitely will have Viksit Bharat, we will have Vishwaguru status and everything. We have the capability of that. But we have to translate that into reality, and that translation is our responsibility, all of us put together. So, my dear friends, do not believe that my books are the same, my curriculum is the same, my laboratories are the same, even my furniture is the same, and that will help us. Everything is to change. Change for better, hopefully, but change has to be adopted. Many a times we feel that, particularly, pardon me, I've been a teacher for the last 55 years, but teachers sometimes believe their own career so much. Well, if I have grown this way, why can't this be the best possible way? Well, teacher can be the best individual, but that route which he had taken to grow himself may not be the best route for the next generation. This has to be understood and conveyed to stop. Second point which I thought I'll pick up is, everybody is talking about innovation. Yes. But is it something so new? We were not innovating in the past, we were always innovating. Except that we are trying to give a formal meaning. The one very beautiful anecdote I gave, because all of you have read that story. We have all written that story in primary. Thirsty Crow. Now, can there be more innovation than the innovation on the part of that crow? He quenched his thirst without any apparent solution. That is innovation. Had there been engineering being approached by the crow to solve the problem, he would have said, okay, don't worry, I will install a motor at the end of the jar, and you switch on the motor and the water will come up and then you can drink. By that time, crow would have died of thirst. If it were a medical profession, he would have approached. He says, doesn't matter, come to the operation theatre tomorrow, I will elongate your beak by an artificial beak, and then you will be able to drink water, and before the operation could be completed, crow would have died. So innovation is not something new in the history, it has always been there. And only thing is we have not been taking note of it, we have not been celebrating it, we have not been able to commercialize it in that sense. Today it is commercialization of innovation, but does not matter. The other issue which I have is that we believe in the academic world that anything I want to introduce into the younger generation, make it as a part of the curriculum. Now I believe nothing can be farther from this. Supreme Court of India wanted everybody to be environment friendly, which is, nobody can deny that, nobody is. But it's really pathetic to see that the Supreme Court had to say that everybody has to be environment friendly. Why will we all understand that we have to be environment friendly? Number one. Number two, if Supreme Court says we have to be environment friendly, the only solution we all found together is, let's have this curriculum of environment in all universities, in all subjects, and Supreme Court is complied with. Now Supreme Court is complied with, but has the environment complied with your instructions? That is the question. I used to go for morning, I used to stay near India Gate, and used to go for morning walk in the park around India Gate. Monday morning we went and I found, and it's a beautiful park, dustbins, very nice dustbins placed by Maruti at very decent intervals. When I went to the park, I found the litter around, empty birds and things like that. So I asked the watchman, I said, was there a picnic yesterday? He said, yes sir. I said, which school? He told me the school, but it is not good for me to tell the name of the school. I said, what the students alone or teachers were here? He said, sir, 3 teachers were also here with the students. So I registered that in my mind. Then somehow I created a situation that school invites me as a chief guest because I was myself. So when I went there as chief guest, I asked the principal, you teach environment to this class? He said, yes sir. How the students done? Very well. I asked for the grade register and everybody had A or A plus. Now if all the students have A or A plus and they have not learned to where to throw the wrappers, I think we have to think of something. Where is education taking us to? And when I looked at those wrappers and everything, they were all rich children. You can find out from the quality of the empty wrappers. Now if rich parents' children, best school children behave like this, have we succeeded in compliance of the Supreme Court orders? That's a question. Every university has sent compliance to Supreme Court, and Supreme Court is very happy that by their dictum they have improved the environment. And all the universities are very happy, UCEK is very happy that everybody has followed the instructions. But has it happened? Now unless there are some things which are conveyed to the youngsters only by role model. If you are a role model, then only you can transfer that information. By curriculum design you cannot. That is why in our literature, our teacher was called Acharya. And Acharya means whose achar is anukarniya, whose behavior is worthy of being copied. That's it. Now I personally have believed all my life, if we teachers have only one ambition, and that is my students love me, I think everything else is taken care of. If we make sure of that the students believe that we are their well-wishers, everything else is done, outcome-based education, laboratory, case studies, everything is done here. If we make sure of that. And my dear friends, it works. It works very strongly if we are able to convey that yes, we are for the better. There is no problem in any educational institution if we do that. And putting that, all that in innovation is a part of the curriculum. Unnat Bharat is curriculum, Skilled India is a curriculum, Swachh Bharat is a curriculum. Everything to be curriculum does not make that everything has happened. Everything has to happen. And happening will be more by role modeling than by feeling ourselves that we have done. So my dear colleagues, my request to you would be, whatever you want your students to be, try to be. If you are able to do that, I think 90% of our problems are solved. And believe you me, our students are more intelligent than us and should be, because unless we make sure that the younger generation is more intelligent than us, how does the world advance? How does the country advance? Unless we ensure that my next generation is better than us. As fathers, we have all cared that our sons rise faster than us, rise better than us. When it comes to students, why do we forget that part? That our students should rise above us, should contribute to the world more than us. And if we do that, then it will be a very, very important thing. My only request would be, because I am sitting at the speaking for the borders of one of the best institutions in the country in technical education, that would be that we have to change our philosophy from curriculum to role modeling, to behavior, to be very sincere to the purpose, and so on and so forth. I tell you, when I was a hardcore teacher, I was teaching digital electronics to the students, and we finished the 10 experiments prescribed by the university, and still 4 weeks were left. So I asked the students, can we spend next 3 weeks in trying to do the experiments which you designed for you? Believe me, that the students came up with list of experiments which was much better than the professors, experts in the country had designed for them to do. And I included that in the list, and the list went on forever. We have to give opportunities to this youth to come up. If we give opportunities to the youth, uncontrolled opportunities to some extent, things will improve and improve like anything. As Chairman National Board of Accreditation, I had to visit several institutions. I went to an institution and a group of some 12-15 boys and girls were working on a project outside the laboratory. I said, why don't you work inside, in the laboratory? Very bad reply came, but I was moved by that reply. Sir, we feel more comfortable outside the laboratory. Now this is a sentence which should open our eyes. Why does a student feel more comfortable outside the lab than inside the lab? What is wrong with our lab structure? Are we sort of dictating too much or something? And they come up with a nice project. I went to a university as a chairman of the approval committee. Now it's one of the highly ranked private universities in the country. I would still not like to name it. And like many other such institutions, they have schools also. So they very proudly introduced me to their setup, including the school. Brought some half a dozen students of the school to me. They said, sir, our school has been completely networked by these 3 second-year computer science students. These 3 second-year computer science students have done the complete networking of our school, and we are proud of it. I was chairman of the committee, so obviously I had to be impressed by such things. So I said, I'm very happy, but I smiled. They said, sir, what? I said, my problem is that you will still like them to sit in the networking theory exam, to pass the networking paper, to certify that they have learned networking. Now, unless we change this mindset, people will say MEP as enabled this. I bet you all vice chancellors in the country always had the power to design the examination system whatever way they wish to. It is not a new thing. We could always design the examination system in whatever manner we wish to, in whatever subject we wish to. But somehow, I don't know, I couldn't, after all the literature survey, I couldn't find out where is written that every subject must be examined by a 3 hours theory examination. My research has failed to find the hypothesis where 3 hours theory exam is so sacrosanct that it can make or mar the career of the student. I once just thought, is 2 hours not enough? And I have not been able to find either for or against this. If it is neither for nor against, if we simply reduce 3 hours to 2 hours, our answer books, which is 28 pages, will become 16 pages. How many trees we will save in the world to be cut just for examination is a hypothesis. Will the universities enough be able to save the environment if we are able to take this simple decision that 2 hours is enough to examine a student instead of 3 hours? I think this probably will be very skeletal service to the environment from the universities of this country without losing any content I believe. If somebody can prove me wrong, I will be happy to be done that. But when we say innovation, we have to be open to new experiments. We have to be open to failure. Many things will fail, nothing wrong in it. Failure is a part of life. And unless we learn to accept failure with as much respect as success, I think we really don't know how to succeed. In USA now, they organize many workshops which are called success stories, which is understandable. Now they have also started organizing what they call as failure workshops. And they believe people to come and present why did their project fail. And the philosophy is very simple. If 100 people are listening to you, at least they will not fail the same route. And that's a great, great contribution to the world if it happens. And that reminds me of the Einstein story. Einstein was asked by his student who was very frustrated, try one material for electric bulb, it doesn't work, second, third. He said, sir, we have tried 2,800 materials and we are still failing. I'm very, very frustrated. He said, no, we have contributed immensely to the science. He said, what, sir? He says these 2,800 materials are not to be tried by any scientist to invent an electric bulb. That's a very great contribution than the invention of the electric bulb. So that's the research. Research cannot guarantee success. And if a research guarantees success, it is not a research. You have to be probing, genuinely researching, genuinely innovating, and then whatever happens, you learn from success, you learn from failure, and that's how you grow ahead. This rat race, if I may use the word for quantitative metrics of success, API, citation, H-index, all that is very important. But just put your hand on the heart and believe, are you doing real research? I know of universities who have engaged half a dozen experts to guide their teachers where to publish the research. A teacher goes to that expert group, I have my paper ready. They say, fine, you want to publish it? Yes. We will tell you where to publish. We will tell you which other authors of the university should be mentioned therein. The reason is very simple. We will find out the journal which has the maximum citation index, not the journal which is richest in the country. We will suggest to you which authors should be part of your team so that so many of us get credit for the university. Well, friends, if that is the research environment, if it's not self-deception, what else it is? We will have to come out of these shells and make sure that genuineness is preserved at whatever cost, and therefore we will have to revise our matrix. And when I say revise our matrix, it's not easy. It's very difficult. And word is always guided by tangibles and intangibles. Tangibles which we can measure easily, and intangibles which we cannot measure easily. And whenever we feel ourselves less confident, we go more for tangibles. For us, head count of teachers is very important. What is the worth of each teacher is less important, because it is difficult to measure that. Number count in the library is very important. What kind of books is less important, because it's difficult to measure that. Number of research papers is very important. Their quality is difficult to measure, therefore it's less important. Now this attitude to which we are going to, whatever is easy to measure is more important, is a very dangerous trend. It is important, but this is not the only importance in life. I'm sure all of you as teachers would agree with me. At times we have found spark in a student who may not be the brightest in terms of the conventional sense, and we ignore that student. If we keep on doing that, then we are losing something which we are not even understanding what we are losing. I remember I have a student, some of you who have the background of electrical engineering may understand, armature reaction is a very, very difficult topic for the design of generators for the people to understand. That boy was crazy. He wrote all 28 pages in the answer book only on armature reaction, which I think no professor can write. But I as a teacher could only give him 20 out of 20 out of that question. And he still fails because he gets only 20 out of 100, which is below the passing mark. Now, does the failure of that student justify what we call as creativity, what we call as innovation? These are offbeat meetings. But unless we learn to superimpose the normal meetings with offbeat meetings, unless we learn to find out exceptions amongst the journals, then I think because we will be losing something. Because somebody said, some people, many say, what difference does it make? There is a research paper very beautifully written. It says 5 in a trillion, I repeat, 5 in a trillion can make a difference to the world. Now, if 5 in a trillion can make a difference to the world, all the universities put together, we have just to make 10 students different than what is being made now, which is not a very tall order to do that. But not attending to those 10 is proving very costly in the race for metrics. So I think we have to be, when we talk about innovation, innovation of assessment, innovation in dealing with students, innovation in rating, innovation in accreditation, all that will have to be accepted as a part of life. Otherwise, we are in the race for the flow, and flow is fine, but flow doesn't produce what it ought to. I'll give a couple of examples from great people because I believe that's what helps in life. Professor C.V. Raman belonged to IISc. He got the only Nobel Prize in Science. The rest are all about bordered hypotheses. He was in India, he worked there and all that is fine. But only Indian scientist who worked in India and got the Nobel Prize is Professor C.V. Raman. And total equipment in his lab was 250 rupees. Now if one can get a Nobel Prize worth of research at 250 rupees, or our talking of resource shortage is a serious point. Yes, we need more resources. But not to work because resources are not there is not acceptable. We will have to work despite the shortage of resources, simultaneously keep on trying for more and more resources, but then you also have to find out, can everybody be C.V. Raman? Obviously no. I'll just quote 2 instances of his life. He conducted the interviews for a research scientist in his institution. As all of us, got many applications, so he selected one. Then there was one put in the waiting list. Then the travel expenditure was paid by the office of Professor Raman. This second person got his travel reimbursement, and later on he found he has got 100 rupees more than what was due by the mistake of the accounts clerk. He goes back to the accounts office. He says, you have paid me 100 rupees more by mistake. Please take it back. Now accounts clerk felt he will have to do much more work to reverse the entry. He says, keep it. He says, no, I can't keep it. It's not due. You will have to take it back. He says it will involve me. He said, then I have to tell everybody that I made a mistake. So I don't want to do that. He says, okay, if you want to definitely take it up, you have to talk to Professor Raman. He says, can I meet Professor Raman? He says, he's such a big person, you can't meet him like this. The boy was crazy. He found out that Professor Raman goes for a morning walk in his farm. He went there that morning. When Professor Raman saw him, he felt he has come to complain that why he has not been selected, which is a genuine thing for most of us. He says, well, Dr. So-and-so, I know you were very good, but then we have to read only one. I'm sorry that you have not been selected. Sir, I have not come for that. I have come for that your office by mistake has paid me 100 rupees more and they are not taking it back despite my request. This is okay, give me 100 rupees. He took 100 rupees, put in his pocket. He says, come at 10:30 today in my office and I'll give you the receipt. The person goes to his office, Mr. Raman gives him the receipt for 100 rupees and also an appointment letter for the position of scientist. And he tells him, well, doctor, you may be second in physics, but you are first in character, and that is what we need in this country. And friends, that second fellow also became a Nobel laureate later in physics, Dr. Chandrasekhar. So that is how we create our role models, create further role models. And look at the personality. Mr. Raman was given Bharat Ratna. When the date was announced to come to Delhi and receive Bharat Ratna, he wrote back, well, that date is already fixed for the viva of my PhD student, and that student needs me much more than my receiving Bharat Ratna. So please send me Bharat Ratna by post. I can't afford to miss my. Well, friends, that is the character. If that character is missing, our PhDs and research papers will not make up for it for the education system. We have to believe in this and go ahead with that and make sure that we are able to compensate for all these things. We talk about outcome-based education is a fundamental change, paradigm shift in higher education, that we don't want now to produce graduates on the basis of written curriculum and so on and so forth. We want to first decide what you should be and then design the curriculum. Our national education policy precisely says. But have we done that exercise really genuinely? Even after having been chairman of National Board of Accreditation for 4 years, let me confess, more than half of our professors and more than 80% of our teachers still do not understand outcome-based education. Because we have never worked in that direction. We have only worked in the direction of fulfilling the papers, not in the direction of fulfilling the concept. And unless we go to the concept, things don't happen. Education policy talked about the flexibility. Well, my dear colleagues, according to me, very first postulate of flexibility should be who wants to be flexible and who doesn't want to be flexible. We say all MSc mathematics students must take 20% courses outside mathematics department. Now that's not flexibility work. So if somebody is so strong in mathematics, let you take all the courses in mathematics. What's wrong with that? But flexibility means somebody who wants 20% courses outside the mathematics should be enabled to do that. Now, that enablement, when it becomes a compulsory rule, then I don't know whether it is still flexibility or something very, very counter to flexibility. We are trying to have multidisciplinary by enforcement. 10 courses must be this, 5 courses must be this, and so on and so forth. We have to leave it to the student. And that is what I was hinting yesterday when I said autonomy of the institution will have no meaning unless it translates to the teacher. Autonomy of the teacher in the class, like best university in the world. To find out all best universities in the world, is there any teacher who is given the syllabus by the university department? No. A teacher declares his own syllabus on the day one, and that is sacrosanct. Why can't we do that? Because every teacher has a different mindset, a different approach, a different style, and the class is different. You can't have the same syllabus for IIT students as for a rural engineering college. If we do that, then we are probably doing much more damage to this. What we have done is, any university syllabus will be revised, all 3 IIT professors. They will say, our syllabus is very good, you can do that, and we follow that. IIT syllabus is very good for IIT students, because the students have a different intrinsic value, a different intrinsic foundation. You can't start building the same house on any foundation. If you do that, that house has to fall down. And we are surprisingly not even seeing that simple reality of life. Then let's examine who is meant for what, and then do that accordingly. Teaching in a rural engineering college, teaching in a small rural university, to match Delhi University or Jordan level university will not be possible, not easy, and should not be made compulsory, because our aim should be to produce the best graduates depending upon the environment, depending upon our resources, depending upon our situation, and see what best can be achieved out of it. And then go step by step in incremental steps to make sure that we are able to do that, instead of having a national curriculum for everybody. I think that, I don't know, and I wish I'm wrong, outcome-based education and the same curriculum for everybody, according to me, are 2 dichotomies of the highest order, which can never be going together. One hand, we keep on saying outcome-based education, which means education for each individual. And really speaking, education has to be for each individual. Education is not a massification. We had to do that, I understand, because you could not have one teacher for one student. You had to go in for massification. But then somewhere striking a balance is a must. And just like health, you go to a doctor, he doesn't listen to your symptom and just gives you the medicine, because medicine has to be individual to your body. Similarly, education will have to be individually tailored to your intellectual growth. Otherwise, it will fail to sensitize you, it will fail to impact you. Now, that is where we are losing in this game of massification. Yes, in a country like this, where GER is still 29%, we have to go in for quantity, there is no doubt about it. But at the same time, we cannot be running madly on quantity without bothering about the quality parameters, and this is a delicate balance between the two, and quality levels will differ for different institutions, will have to be accepted as a reality of life. I am very happy that now the National Assessment Accreditation Council is coming with multiple levels of accreditation. The institutions of the highest level may go in for level 5 accreditation, little below for level 4 accreditation, and so on and so forth. Because to expect everybody, why can't you be level 5? Will be a foolish question, which we cannot really answer in the real-time situation. Therefore, based on that, we have to go further. Third thing which I thought I'll bring to you is that when we talk about multidisciplinary education, that doesn't mean introducing something in every subject, every course. I remember when I went to Kennedy School of Governance, and when they introduced me to the subject of governance, which was new at that time, they told me, Professor Aggarwal, first thing we keep in mind is Economics 101 plus Political Science 101 does not make Governance 101. Governance will have to be designed as governance. Some of economics, some part of political science makes it a governance, that will be a wrong design. And that's what we do every day. That, okay, major, minor, this plus this will become wholesome. Some of you who will understand the chemistry language, I have to understand, but there is a strong difference between mixture and compound. compounds in the life, mixes don't in the life. And we try to do that in education by mixing whatever we feel like. And that we believe will deliver the goods. Now that is where we lose very essential properties of education per se, and we don't synthesize. I'll be very rough example because I believe simple examples convey the things better. We ran out of pages in the science book, and we said, okay, let's have a separate book of physics, separate book of chemistry, separate book of biology. Then biology book became very big, okay, botany separate, zoology separate, separate teacher for each subject, separate book for each subject, separate classroom. And there is no discussion between these 4 teachers, these 4 students, and with the result, we produce physicists, we produce chemists, we produce biologists, but we don't produce scientists. And therefore, if we are not able to solve the problem, whose fault is it? It's fault of ours. Because we never created problem solvers. Management course was designed to specially create problem solvers, but we believe, let's teach some economics, some commerce, some psychology, some IT, and hope that we have produced an excellent MBA graduate. And what has happened to MBA education now? It's for you to all see, except for maybe less than 100 institutions in the country, it's a pathetic. Because we really never designed it. We only believe that a combination of teachers and a combination of subjects put together does the job. Therefore, we have now MBAs who do not know economics well, who do not know commerce well, who do not know psychology well, and who have never been taught problem solving. So who should give the job? And why should somebody give the job? So these are the questions of the academic world which we have to ask and answer. And when we say student having different kinds of options, wonderful idea. But as I said yesterday, every IIT trying to open a medical college, is it really something exceptionally good? I have my question asked. Or every medical college asked to start an engineering college? Will it be something very good? Will it not be better to put an engineering college and a medical college together in the same overall umbrella and say that they should work together as a cluster? That may be much better solution, much more economical solution, much more meaningful solution to multidisciplinary education than we are doing now. Friends, academics was supposed to be least conservative profession, and unfortunately, we have made ourselves most conservative. We are given a set of rules every day. Every morning, I think you get a letter from the UCEK, how to run, how to conduct a class, how to celebrate each day, how to celebrate September, how to celebrate 15th August. All this has to be told to the Vice Chancellor by somebody in the country, and then we say Vice Chancellor autonomous. Friends, we have to cater to the realities of life. If universities cannot be made to experiment at times by flouting the rules within these universities, nothing can change. I was reading this book on Netflix. I talk in the language of youngsters because you all know Netflix much more than we know. But there is a book by Netflix which says, no rules rules us. I repeat, no rules rules us. And that is why we are the fastest growing company in the world. And I'll give you one case study from that book. And that is what I was telling yesterday also. Piecemeal, everything looks alright. But put together, we make a mess of the whole thing. I'll give that case study. An accounts clerk wrote as a rule book that whenever a senior officer goes outside for an official work, he can claim the cab charges as per entrance. Now, seems to be very innocent, very nice rule. Then next time somebody said, well, hiring a cab, those are not days of Uber and things like that. Cabs are very costly. So somebody said, cabs are very costly, why don't I rent a car? If you rent a car, it will be much cheaper. The accounts officer agreed and he said, yes, renting a car is allowed. But then accounts officer is accounts officer. He said, cab is allowed as per actuals. Renting a car is also allowed, but not both. And the accounts officer also had to utilize his brain. And nothing seemed wrong there. That you will either rent a car or hire a cab. Why both? Unless a case came when an officer went out and he was to drive some 200 miles to attend a meeting. So he rented a car because 200 miles by cab would have been a hell lot of money. He rented a car and went there. In the evening, that officer had to host a party for his clients in which drinks had to be served in USA. And after drinks, you can't drive. So he said, now how do I go back? Because I've rented a car, yes, but I have to offer drinks, I have to drink therefore, and I can't drive thereafter. So he hired a cab for evening to go there. Accounts office took 3 months to settle his bill, that you were allowed to rent a car or hire a cab, but not both. And you have done both. Lot of discussion went through, and finally Netflix came up with a rule. Senior officers of the company can decide what to spend, how to spend in their best judgment, in the best interest of Netflix. That is it. Do we have the guts to say that? That my professors are allowed to spend whatever they feel is in the interest of JNTUK? Or can the UGC says vice chancellors are allowed to spend the budget the way they think in the best interest of the institution? If not, harm them, punish them, put them to jail, no problem. But allow them to for some experimentation. Unless we do that, we do not grow fast. And if we don't grow fast, we are not growing. Because the bird is growing fast. The bird is not going to become slow because we want it to become slow. So friends, some playing with the rules is a must. And which has been there in the best university in the world. I mean, I have examples from my own family. My son went to USA for the first time from a small town like Kurukshetra, and the drastic difference between Kurukshetra and America. And in the first semester, right in the first semester, 1 week before the exam, one American professor says, Ashutosh, you need not appear in my exam. Thunderbolt. If a teacher stands up in the class and says you need not appear in the exam, I think the boy feels my credit is gone. Something I have done wrong. He was very, very sad. He went to him after the class, said, what happened? He said, on the basis of your assignment submitted so far, I have decided to give you A+. Now I can't give you any better. Therefore, why waste time in appearing in my exam? You would rather spend time in other things. Now that is the autonomy of the teacher. He has been able to see the spark so far, and he says that's the end of it. Now whether you grab something more or not is immaterial. Now can we afford that? Yes, I think we can. If we stop pursuing our system. Unfortunately, academic institutions, our former minister here, is probably scrutinized the most by everybody in the world. Student is a stakeholder, which is very general. Parent is a stakeholder, more general. But UGC is a stakeholder, SC is a stakeholder, 16 regulatory bodies are asking you information, district director is asking you information, state government is asking you information, central government, NBA, NAC, NIRF, so on and so forth. And not only this, every MLA is your boss. Now that is the kind of situation to which we have put ourselves to. And unless we come out of this, it was hinted yesterday also by my good friend, because unless the academic institutions are academic and they learn to solve the problems academically, we will not be able to really give that expected change to the students of this country, which are poised for making Bharat as Vishwaguru. Believe you me, our students are capable of doing it in the next 10, 15 years, provided we run out of their way to some extent. That is the only prerequisite according to me which is required, and they will be able to do that. And lastly, because I am a student of technology, computer science, artificial intelligence, let these technologies not rule us. Let these technologies serve us. They can serve us very well, but if we become their subordinate rather than their masters, then we are creating serious issues. COVID forced us for online education. That time it was a great, great favor done to the society by all the teachers. And I am so heavily impressed, not by the university teacher, but imagine a sports teacher teaching online in a village. A yoga teacher teaching online during COVID. That was required. That was a must. And so many millions saved a year. But after that, we have made it a fashion. I mean, class is being taken from the kitchen and the student is studying in the bedroom. Well, is that a method of education? Online education could be used very, very effectively. Probably necessary to take GR to that level. But we must be able to decide where to use it, to what degree, in what format, not as a blind or passive measure. I just quote which I normally don't quote, Sundar Pichai, who says automate but be the architect of automation. Don't automate blindly, you be the architect of automation and automate. He says understand what is under the hood. Don't blindly follow it. He says double down on human strengths. It is your strengths which are more important than the technology. I still remember when I was president of IETE and we were celebrating the Golden Jubilee year, I did say IT is very powerful, but please remember, according to me, IT is I plus T. Myself plus technology, and myself is ahead of technology. If I don't put myself ahead of technology, then this technology can take care of us. And when I am quoting Sundar Pichai, I am trying to drive home a point. Sundar Pichai is heading one of the largest computer companies in the world. And is he a computer engineer? No. Is he an electronics engineer? No. Is he an electrical engineer? No. He is a metallurgical engineer. And metallurgy is probably farthest from computer science in terms of academic discipline. So if a metallurgical engineer can head the largest computer company in the world, we feel heavens will fall if this student has failed to pass in biometallurgy. He cannot become a computer scientist now. We will have to give it a shot. And I'll add up by saying, Sundar Pichai never studied in an IIT. He studied in a small private engineering college in this part of the country. So friends, where did you study? Is important but not all that important. What do you study is important but not all that important. How do you study? Have you prepared yourself? Have you learned to learn yourself? I think that is the question which we have to ask everybody. We have to give the students unknown problems. Doesn't matter if I don't know the solution to that problem. Let them struggle. Let us jointly discuss. And if he is on the right track, I give him grading. Even if I can't solve the problem, so what? Because if some student is able to solve a problem which I can't solve, then only the world advances. How does the research advance? When you criticize your guide's research. more often than not. When do advanced or right research work, that is the easiest research work to do, because every research work can be advanced further. So some paradigm shifts will have to be done. This is a Dukkha word, it will remain Dukkha. Even in addition, it will not happen simple. It will remain a volatile word, it will remain an uncertain word, it will remain a complex word, it will remain an ambiguous word. Our wishes will not make it simple. We have to handle this Dukkha word, but what I call is, while we stand for our vision. We have the vision enough to handle this word. You stand for understanding. You understand the complexity of the situation. C is collaboration and creativity. We will be able to solve. And A stands for attitude and adaptability. If we are able to do that, we will be able to beat these Dukkha world challenges by our Dukkha attitudes. If we are able to evolve Dukkha attitude, Dukkha attributes is the way I have told. I'll just end by one last sentence. You all have heard of dinosaurs in the movies, if not elsewhere. They are decisively were more powerful than the human beings. Today dinosaurs don't exist, human beings exist. Because we were always more adaptable than the dinosaurs. So history shows us that we have been able to survive till date because adaptability was our culture. So let's keep that adaptability, at least in the educational institutions, to begin with, because according to me, maybe I'm biased, everybody is biased in some sense, transformation of a nation will happen through education and only through education. There is no other method. And education will happen only through our teachers, there is no other method. With these words, I thank you all for this listening, and I'm grateful to JNTUK for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this August gathering. Thank you very much. All the best. Thanks. Are there any questions?
Well, thank you for your mesmerizing speech, and for a long time, you've taken us to another world of thinking. But I have a more incisive question. You have been in the powerful place where policies are made, and you have been one of the finest academicians of this country. Have you started some steps, or are there some steps? Because most of it what you have spoken is what should be done, but none of the solutions, whether anybody thinking, Anil is there perhaps online, but I don't know whether any of the things, is anybody else who is making policies thinking, or all of us are listening to you getting carried away by clapping and going away. Is something happening? Are you doing something yourself because you're still in the powerful place where you could do something?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, there have been attempts in this country, off and on various institutions making very great attempts. Best is to give your own examples, although such glorification is bad in a house like this. NEP came in 2020. I started IP University in 1999. And my written ordinance says that at that time university required 200 credits to pass the BTech degree. My written rule says every student will have to study 220 credits. But please feel free to fail in any 20. That's a rule in 1999 published. And then I felt, well, anybody who works hard enough to pass all 220? So I said, okay, if that be so, we'll pick up best 200 to give your CGPA. To calculate your CGPA, we will take best 200 to give your degree. Now it's a very simple change, but I think, I'm sorry, today I can declare it because NIP has allowed all this. Had I made all this public, I might have been removed as vice chancellor for doing something criminal. By asking the students, okay. So what I'm trying to say is there have been probably, if not many, a few, but 10 Yes, are you prepared to crucify yourself, or are you prepared to do whatever you wish you can do coolly, calmly? That's the way we do. But if you look to the history of this country, you will find many universities having done many small things in their own way. 4-year undergraduate degree is one such example. IISc Bangalore used to have 4-year BSc long time back for so many years. And it was the best institution in the country. So what we have done is, by over-regulation, we have been very specialized in killing a good thing and then reintroducing that good thing, maybe via America or via England or something. But I'll give you an example of IIS. 4-year BSc of IISc was considered as one of the best undergraduate courses in the country. But instead of multiplying that, instead of replicating that, we force every year, no, yes, he has to be 3 years. I remember in one discussion I told jokingly, I said, if a student fails and does BSc in 4 years, will he become more qualified? Because he has done a 4-year course instead of a 3-year course. So let's not count by years alone, count by credits alone, and so on and so forth. So I agree with you, the journey is tough, but I believe if more and more people do some more brainstorming sessions, then things do happen. Ultimately, NEP has come out as a document with all the listed flexibility. Today, all the universities have a document to show. If a vice chancellor says, I want to make a change, nobody can say, why are you doing it? You can say NEP allows it. At least we have traveled that journey. All the potential changes which are enabling changes are mentioned in NEP. Now if you stand up, UGC cannot say why are you doing it. UICD cannot say why are you doing it, because NEP has to do that. So at least that has happened over 25 years. We are slow, but things will happen.
So regarding the faculty and autonomy dimension, if you see the after liberalization, globalization, privatization, after LPG, most of the students are even youth or those who are merit students are not coming for teaching. That is one aspect. Even IITs, NITs or central universities are going for recruitment with benchmarks. Most of the people are not meeting the benchmark. That is one part of it. The another part is, if you see the revolution of French Revolution, the teacher is playing a predominant role. But now the teacher is that much respected in the college, whether the government sector or the private sector. Third is, if you go for the recruitment, lot of court cases, lot of legal aspects are coming. We are unable to complete them. In such a circumstances, if you give a more autonomy to the teacher, it will give the fruitful result.
I touched upon this yesterday. If you have given autonomy to the teacher to stand in the class and speak whatever he wishes to, you have conceded to the teacher. Because you have already done what is maximally responsible action on the part of a teacher. Conducting exam has to be a very small exercise compared to teaching learning process. Unfortunately, we glorified examinations over teaching. We glorified accreditation over actual working. We glorified citation index over quality of research. We glorified ranking over actual performance. So I, as chairman and BA, have been making open statements. Please improve your teaching learning. Please improve your research. We will come to you with folded hands to give accreditation. You don't have to run after accreditation. So this word has realized. I think there are very few countries in the world who give accreditation by marks. The moment you quantify something, you are killing something in the process. And that is where the word which has come up very nicely is don't be very subjective, don't be very objective, be omnijective. That is, have a balance between objective and subjective, because you can't score one over the other. We shifted from descriptive examination to multiple choice question to be objective. We are seeing the results. Where are the concepts of the students? They are drowned in ABCD. They dream of ABCD. They don't dream of written thing. So what I'm saying, Professor, is that what you are saying is right. Then you are not getting teachers, yes. But what efforts we have done in the last 75 years to produce teachers? I mean, let's ask ourselves. Good old days, we had a KOIP scheme for teachers which also has been stopped. So we had to plan that we will, if we are expanding education like this, we will need teachers. And to produce teachers, whatever we have to do. Say for example, what stops me from glorifying PhD who decide to be teachers and give them salary almost equivalent to teacher to make sure that there is a qualified teacher at the end of the PhD. It's possible. So we'll have to devise policy ways and means to produce teachers. We have faltered on that. And therefore, yes, you are right. Today, there are no more teaching takers. But salaries are good today. But world doesn't go by salaries alone. Many parents have come and told me, sir, we want a match for our daughter. Suggest anybody accept a teacher. Like that remains the society. We have to ask ourselves, where are we? They will be genuine in their own happiness for their daughter, but is that the society we are looking for too? These questions, answers will take time. But let's start thinking and doing whatever little it takes. As we say in engineering, that takes plus that takes infinity times becomes x. So let's use that infinite times to make it x. That's all what it is.
Professor Aggarwal, thank you for a very insightful speech and all your observations. And I think you've encouraging the academic community to think outside the box of regulations and exercise their autonomy and the powers that they have. And I should thank you also for highlighting the aspect of integrity in education. I think that's where most of the systems need to be tweaked. So I have one comment and a couple of questions. I was interacting with some young faculty of a new IIT, and they were talking about the exact aspect that you highlighted in your speech. This aspect of citations, and what they told me was that in this quest for quantity and the aspect of quality is getting sacrificed. And they said that those who are genuinely have good ideas are able to put it into practice because they have to on one end pursue the quantification of the citations and their publications. So, I mean, is there a solution for that? Is one thing that I want to ask you. The second question I have is, you mentioned, given the example of Professor C.V. Raman, who, despite the modest laboratory, who went on to win the Nobel Prize. Now, repeatedly, we get pointed out that India's spend on research is minuscule as compared to the other nations. From Professor Raman's example, if we are innovative, I'm sure necessity is the mother of inventions. We may come up with solutions. But is there a case for increasing the research spend? And are we spending that resources wisely as a nation? Is the other question.
So first of all, to be asked a question from your status obviously makes me feel nervous. But having said that, there is a very strong case for increasing the research spending in the country. There is a very strong case for increasing the education spending in this country. State running away from spending on education and research is not acceptable in any democratic system. In any democracy, education, health, and justice is the right of every citizen, and we have to provide that. Less expenditure on education has not been recommended by any of the education commissions in the country, including any. But we have not done that. Research spending has to increase. Example of C.V. Raman is that unless we reach 60%, I will not do research is not acceptable. We keep on fighting for more research fund. When we have more research fund, probability to do better research will increase. Or what I am trying to say is, we can still make exceptions with meager resources also. And at times, history is evidence to this, that shortages makes you more innovative. See, a poor man learns to live by very innovative means at times. That doesn't mean everybody has to be poor. But that certainly means if we can learn from him, nothing wrong in this. So, that's what I meant when I gave the example of Professor C.V. Raman. But the case for more research spend, more education spend is certainly there, and I may be excused because as a teacher like all of you, we definitely feel that for no period of the history in the independent India, we have given enough attention to spend on education and research in the real meaningful way. We have not been able to involve private sector into research funding, which USA has been able to do, because of the rules and regulations. There have been several reports which have been saying even tax planning can help make them do that. We came into CSR, but let me not discuss in this room what is happening to CSR more often than not. Why can't we say that all public sector engineering units will spend their CSR only on technical universities? What is wrong with this decision? I have a question to ask instead of spending it. God willing, I could do something out of that. So therefore, I believe both the things are important. But case for spending more on research, because the areas which are coming today, you have to, so even the latest wars, you will not be able to win if you are not research intensive. You have to be very, very strong in research. And education, because the two are together in some sense. So therefore, I definitely feel the case for more research is there, the case for more education is there. The question will come, we have so much to do, it is this much what to do. My long-term solution is to spend more on education, maybe you will recover more after 25 years. Just think long-term and it might happen. That's my point. Thank you so much.
All the audience here are academicians, academic administrators having a number of doubts at the back of their mind. Still, time is a main factor for us. Already 2 o'clock, time for the lunch, and then we have to resume our sessions. So in the break time also we can interact with the experts and get your doubts clarified. Please, actually sorry for stopping you from asking your doubts, but still we have to do it. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. We have given so much of clarity on autonomy to the institutes, and so many faculty members are here from autonomous institutes, the principals, administration, so they can interact with you. Right, sir? Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.